mic is hot. Welcome to the Podawan podcast. I'm Steve alongside co-host Oliver, aka the Podawans. And today we have a new episode of the Podawan podcast going over some backlash of the Last Jedi and our top 10 ranked Star Wars movies. Coming in hot! Welcome everybody to another episode of Podawan Podcast. We got a lot of info to go over today in a big top 10 segment. So we have a couple news pieces. Oh yeah, Ollie, what are you thinking?
On what, the news pieces?
Yeah.
I don't know. The news pieces are secret until you say them to me. So then we can react.
Just want to mess with you, man. Just want to keep you on your toes.
Gotcha.
All right.
So what's our first news piece?
The first news piece.
Yeah.
So there was we have a couple news pieces this week. First one, and I have it on my other screen here. So apparently there's a secret Star Wars show being filmed, or it's in production right now. It's been given the green light apparently. And it's a collaboration between Lucasfilm and Marvel, and potentially debuting on Disney Plus next year. And it's on Dr. Aphra. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Okay. So Dr. Aphra.
Yeah, you just told me about it right before we entered the show, so I really don't know anything about this. Yes. So I'm just going to be reacting and answering what you. Yeah. So first of all, you didn't tell me before the show. What does Marvel have to do with it? Just like producing it, or
I think it's going to be produced. It's
like we're not doing some kind of like Superman is in. I mean, like Marvel, like Iron Man's not coming to the Star Wars universe, right?
Oh my God! If they did something stupid like that, then I would throw every.
I always try to be positive, and
out.
I say don't hate anything. That would suck.
Marvel,
please don't ever do that.
Yeah, Marvel, if you fucking do that, I'm gonna denounce Star Wars, Marvel, everything. Fuck that shit. That's like a.
So it's more of just like helping out. Aphra does, to be fair, that's a neat.
Well, Disney owns
that is a good
both.
Because no, I know, but That's why I don't understand why Marvel's needed.
Right. So.
Did it explain that, or it just threw it out there?
It just threw it out there. I'm guessing. Let's see.
I don't really know how the business side of that works, so I just wouldn't think Marvel would need to be a part of that. But
see, so the other thing that it's saying is that Dr. Aphra, if you're not familiar with that character, there's a comic series on it. It is produced or written by Marvel. So I think it's probably something
because Marvel Comics.
Yeah, and I mean it's Marvel too. So like from a production standpoint, like Marvel,
I got
films, you're getting.
I understand that makes more sense. I was thinking Marvel just like as in the MCU, not the comics, the movies.
No. So she's so basically,
it's a really good comic series, by the way.
Yeah,
I've read. Now there's a bunch that are out, but I probably read up until like 2 months ago. So probably like 70% of Aphra. It's really good.
When does
so
it take
this actually
place?
is. Like in the A New Hope era. Like I don't know a ton of defined timelines off the top of my head. I read them all a while ago, but it's in that like era. Most of the comics take place maybe before A New Hope, around A New Hope, before Return of the Jedi, that kind of area.
Yeah, the
original trilogy era, I guess, if that's the easiest way to explain it.
So for one of the reasons why this is so cool, at least to me. I never read the comics. I kind of have a gist of like what you're saying with like where it takes place.
I think you would like them.
I probably would, but like it's So the whole point is we're gonna get more if this show is gonna be in that same time period, or if it's like based right off like directly from the comics, kind of like what Marvel does. Yeah, we're gonna get so much more Darth Vader, and it's gonna be fucking awesome.
Be cool too, right? Because maybe that's how they're gonna utilize. Because they have like Alden Enright, or however you say it, and Donald Glover. They have them signed, don't they, for multiple movies? Because they were going to do. So maybe that's how they use the contract. Yeah. Because she does run into them. I think she runs into Luke. So maybe they cast a young. I mean, that'd be cool. Maybe that's how they. Yeah. Yep. So and then they could use the young Luke if they ever did like like after Return of the Jedi and follow Luke around planet hopping looking for Jedi stuff.
So she's
That's super long term, but yeah,
yeah,
that's
so,
cool.
and she's
That's awesome.
like, I guess in this article it mentions like, so from a character like persona standpoint, she's like the dark version of Indiana Jones, which of
Oh,
course is played by
yeah,
Harrison Ford. So you're getting
it's a
like,
good,
it's like a
it's a
Han
good example.
Solo,
Yeah.
the dark Han Solo, I guess. May,
Uh, more Indiana Jones than, but yeah,
in that sense, yeah, yeah. So, um,
yeah, she's crazy, but she's a lot of fun.
okay. I'll have to read the comics. I mean, that's something I haven't done.
Did
So
they say who's playing her? Have they announced like anything like that?
no, they're keeping it a secret at this
Because
point.
that'd be interesting. Because over the comics, she's drawn a lot of different ways. Like
Uh,
she looks a lot different in different, like all comics, I guess. You know what I mean? But usually, I guess usually in
oh,
the comics, you're usually used to like the actor beforehand. You know what I mean?
it's
In Star
called
Wars,
it's called Star Wars Afra and Andor TV series rumors.
Afra and Andor.
Yeah, I don't know
Gotcha.
who Andor is.
Uh,
Is that like a droid or something?
who is Andor? That sounds familiar. I don't. Again, I read all the Afra stuff like all at once, and it was really good. But I am blanking on most of the stuff that happens because it's all just crazy. It's crazy stuff. But it'll be fun. It'll be a really good TV show,
Yeah,
especially if they do like in India. It is like Indiana Jones. She's like an archaeologist, but in a galaxy, which is pretty sweet.
she's like so she's looks like she's probably like late teens, early 20s,
Yeah,
like
probably like Luke
character
Leia's
wise.
age around that time. Yeah, same age group.
She's well, in this article it says she's a queer character. Which is interesting
Yeah.
characterization.
Yeah.
She's
No, she has a like a girlfriend in some of the comics.
oh, okay. Well, I mean, well, like the way they said it in the article that I'm reading now is like it was
Gotcha.
a weird way of saying it.
Yeah.
She's obviously an anti-hero because she's
Yeah. She's
on
got
that
like that
side.
Deadpool kind of thing with the she a lot of times does the right thing, maybe not for the right reason.
You know what
And
this could tie to though? Actually, now that I'm thinking of
so
it.
no.
So, oh wait, no, this is Andor is Cassian Andor. How do we not even think about that?
I was yeah. I don't know.
Well, how?
Well, that's why it rings a bell. I
Now
was
it
thinking
makes
of
sense. So they are
I
doing
was
a
trying to
show.
think of her girlfriend's name in the show, and it's like in the comic, sorry, Tolivan or something like that. But I didn't know her first name, so I was thinking, oh, is Andor the first name? But yeah, Cassian Andor.
Yeah, there we go.
Wow,
So
that was a bad miss by me.
that was a bad miss
Supposed to be
in
the
general.
canon guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that the same show?
Yeah, that's what it says. Alpha
Oh,
and
so they're
Andor.
making. I gotcha. So the Cassian Andor series is going to be Cassian, Afra, and Andor.
Yeah. So what do you? I mean,
Gotcha.
so that
Cool.
makes it way more interesting because me personally, I wasn't really excited about Cassie and Andor because I'm like,
You
like
weren't?
no, because I mean I like Rogue One and everything, but his character was like, yeah, it was a cool character, but he's not Han Solo. He's not Chewbacca. He's not. To me, he's not at
Interesting.
that level. So I never was like, oh, I need a TV series on him.
Gotcha.
So
I thought he was interesting because he was on the separatist side in that war. So he brings a whole different. It's a different angle from a lot of the other characters that lived through that period,
yeah,
which I thought was cool.
yeah,
A lot
I
of blurred
guess,
lines of good and bad. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But Afra will fit right into that. That's actually it's a neat combo. It really is.
yeah.
That'll be interesting to see how they do that. I don't know if I'm more excited that it is that series, only because I want a lot of content. So I was like, "Ooh, we're getting 2 series next year." You know what I mean? But no, that makes sense,
It happens
and
in
that'll
the same
give
time period. So I mean,
and
makes
that could give a cool little like every other episode. Maybe they're not always together. You know what I mean? They run into each other, like kind of like diverging story arcs.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Yeah, I missed that. I haven't been as up on the news lately because everything has to be the leaks. You know what I mean? So I've been trying to
Yeah.
avoid it.
Yeah. It's just trying to stick.
I've been just sticking to like canon stuff that comes out. But
Yeah, I mean there was so another news piece that came out. So I'll just move along to the next news.
yeah,
piece.
no, but that's cool. That Afra thing fits really well with Cassian. That's neat. I like that.
Oh yeah. I mean I don't know why I blanked on it. It didn't. All the articles said were they were just emphasizing Dr. Afra, which I know as a character is like really cool.
That's also really neat. Yeah, that's also really neat canon wise because that, as much as I liked Afra, it was more of a fun read when nothing canon was coming out. Now it gives me now I'm kind of pumped to read more because we're gonna get more. You know what I mean?
Yep. Oh yeah.
And that's what I think they need to do. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. So next news.
Very cool. All right, yeah. What's next?
Next news piece. So the second one, just a small, quick one. Oh crap, his name. Ian. Who plays Palpatine? What's his last name?
McDermott.
Yeah, I'm terrible. So just an FYI to people, I am terrible with actor and actresses' names sometimes. So
yeah,
sometimes
before we get into this, because you're gonna say his name 100 times, it's just Ryan Johnson. It's not Rain. It's
no,
Ryan.
I know. No,
it's just
I know
spelled
it's Ryan. I know that.
You always say Rain.
Yeah, just to fuck with you. So
no, that's not true.
So Ryan, Rain, whatever. So no, but so I'm just gonna say it. The guy that played Palpatine just gave an interview about Rise of Skywalker, and pretty much confirming that we're gonna see some sort of Palpatine in the Rise of Skywalker. So that just came out recently, so that kind of confirmed like some of the rumors and stuff like that. So. Which is
I think you were the only person left on Earth who thought he wasn't going to be in it still, but
I didn't say
you
that.
said it in one of the predictions. You're like, are we sure he's going to be in it? I was like,
well, no, there was nothing. Okay,
I don't think they want to show him because it's a big, like, maybe he looks totally different. They're probably gonna F with his look, which is they gotta save. Although with previews today, nothing's sacred, but I think they're gonna save that at least, right?
It's
and they're not. They haven't showed the baby Yoda yet, and we know he's in it. So
yeah. So
just kidding.
Yeah, I know. Whatever. So like with Reddit and the leaks and everything, I tried to keep like I haven't seen it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that interview.
No, I stayed away from it too, which sucks because I love Reddit.
Yeah, and it's like every time I go on Reddit, it's like the first title is like, "What if this happens?" And I'm like,
can't even look.
Fuck,
you can't look.
You know, I really want this ruined for me right now. So like, which I think I've done a pretty good job, like getting around it. So
I got out at the right time because I'm sure I had read people's theories based on like Jedi praxis stuff. Well, but I didn't know which was which, and I've read a million theories.
There's other leaks too.
No, I know, but my point is because I got out at the right time, I've heard so many different theories, and I forget now which one was linked to what. So I have no idea what's going to happen, which is awesome. So I'm actually in the perfect spot.
Yeah, I think I haven't seen enough. I've seen a couple things where I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I want to see that, but nothing that gives away enough where I'm like, okay, I know what's going on. So.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the trailers have given away more than I thought was going to be good. So
yeah, I think they're just trying to hype it up. I think with all the backlash with Last Jedi, I think they're really trying to hone in on this last movie. That's kind of where that's going, I think. So So the last news piece, which is going to tie into our bigger segment. So there was a couple. I believe there was an interview with J.J. Abrams, and he talks about Last Jedi and where Ryan Johnson went with Last Jedi and how he's grateful for some of the things that Ryan Johnson did in The Last Jedi that helped him with Episode 9. And so some of his comments, some took it as he was being kind of like snubbing him. I didn't take it that way, but then there's more where I believe Ryan Johnson also gave an interview recently as well, talking about it, as well as his movie Knives Out came out, and that was kind of in correlation to like his response to like Last Jedi and how people reacted to it. And then
that movie crushed, right?
Apparently, yeah. It's supposedly.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't either, but someone already ruined the movie for me, so I'm not going to see it, which sucks. Friggin' Reddit. So
I told you,
dude. I didn't even. It wasn't even. It was like on a Star Wars one too, and I was like, oh yeah.
Spoiler: this guy dies. Like that can't be the title.
Yeah, like come on. So there was that, and then there was some more comments from John Boyega, who plays Finn, and Daisy Ridley, and Oscar Isaac, and
They all had comments,
they
right?
all had comments. They were trying to distance themselves from Last Jedi, from what the tone was. I don't think they directly said that, but there was definitely, with John Boyega in particular, there was a lot of. He definitely was. He showed some frustration that he wasn't.
Happy about it.
Yeah, he wasn't happy about it. Last Jedi, like they all three of them go on different paths in that movie. So.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget that Mark Hamill, like from the very beginning.
Oh, he hated it.
Said he'd. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. It seems like it. But he always said that he disagreed with what he read at first. So you take that for what it's worth.
And I do too. So, so
yeah,
there was a ton of backlash on Twitter. There was a ton of fan reaction to it. It definitely
stirred the pot again.
It stirred the pot again. Last Jedi was
just
trending.
As it was kind of settling down.
Yep, it was trending on Twitter. I just happened to be on Twitter and got some fan reaction to it. Oh my god, it was like. So
I stay away from that. Yep.
So I think there was definitely 3 different camps with this. What I was seeing on Twitter, there was people that loved Last Jedi and was like, "You shouldn't criticize it," which is ridiculous. I think that's ridiculous. There was the middle camp, which was like, okay, Last Jedi was okay, but like, yeah, there was these issues, and I don't agree with it, but I still love Star Wars, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
Then there were the haters too, like this movie sucks. I'm not a Star Wars fan because of it, or Rian Johnson sucks. J.J. Abrams sucks. Like all this stuff, even like some of the actors. The only other thing I saw a lot of was that Finn got a lot of love, and a lot of people are kind of disappointed where that character went. So,
yeah,
because of all this, we wanted to talk about this a little bit. So, I'll throw it in your hands, Ollie. What's your reaction to all this backlash on Last Jedi, and what do you think of the whole mess that it's caused?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall it sucks. No matter what side you're on, unfortunately. Yeah. I think, and you can, you can take that any way you want. Like people are going to go, well, it sucks that the movie sucks, so that's why it sucks. And it's like, all right, well, I just think,
yeah.
Well, right. That's basically what would happen.
Movie
like
sucks.
If you, like me saying the situation sucks, you're a Disney shill. Like what? What?
FYI, we're not paid by Disney. We have no.
We're not paid by anybody. Our opinions are 100% our own because no one cares about them.
No.
No. I think the whole situation sucks because the stuff that I read seems to be like a flip-flop now. So now, like, if you were like a big-time Last Jedi defender, now you have to hate The Rise of Skywalker. It's just...
It's stupid.
It's miserable.
It's stupid.
The whole thing is miserable. I also think that I'm a big proponent of being free speech in general, but critiquing stuff is fine, right?
Yeah, everyone has their
and also like we said earlier, like we were talking about the Mandalorian one. I'm all about free speech, so you can say whatever you want. You can blame it on whoever you want. But I stop, and I think a lot of people stop actually listening to critiques, and I think that's what happened in this point. I think The Last Jedi is correctly critiqued in certain ways, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's certain things that are not incorrect. I think there's fair. I think there's what I'm saying is I think there's fair opinions and critiques on both sides. I think there's fair opinions and critiques on why it was really good and why it was different than Star Wars. Yeah. And I think there are fair and really good critiques as well of why it wasn't that good. But I'm just saying that I think what's unfortunate in this whole thing, and which I don't want to see, but the Twitter thing seems to lead like it's going to go that same way for Rise of Skywalker, is I think there's a certain amount of people that now it really doesn't matter, right? Like some people have already made up their mind that the Rise of Skywalker sucks. And it could literally be the best movie ever, and they will say it sucks. And I'm not saying that's a giant portion of people, but I'm saying that already exists, right?
Right.
There's plenty of people, and I'll say this, like this is 100% true too. There's plenty of people that came out of Last Jedi that liked it and then heard the backlash and are like, yeah, it sucks, right? Like, no, I mean, that's the truth, right?
Yeah.
And those are the things that bum me out. And it also bums me out when I hear stuff like this. Again, this is where I was kind of bringing the point. I stop listening to people and their critiques when it gets to the point of like some people saying that like Ryan Johnson is purposely, like his mission in life is to ruin Star Wars. Like that, I can't. I'm sorry. That's when I stop listening to anything else to say. Just because like
stupid.
that's hyperbole. It like obviously Ryan Johnson is not try as much as you may hate every version of Last Jedi that went through his head. His goal, he was trying and may still think, and it's fine, but he was 100% trying to make the best Star Wars movie ever.
Right. Yeah.
And it didn't work for a lot of people. And that's but it I just think it's a bummer when you go after Ryan Johnson for it.
They call
like,
it.
He tried. He doesn't hate Star Wars.
They call it like a meta version, I think, or something. Like they call it meta for some reason.
Meta.
META. Yeah, I don't.
I just think I think he tried.
I don't understand.
Right,
that.
and so here's what I'm gonna say. My overall feeling, Last Jedi is not the best movie. I like Last Jedi. You could take that for what it's worth. Like I don't hate it, but I don't love it. So I see both sides. Like there are good parts. Like one of the popular, so like two things I'll say about the two most popular criticisms of Last Jedi in terms of storylines, right? Yep. Is the Canto Bight thing, right, with Finn and Rose. Yep. I think that whether you like or dislike the actual physical Canto Bight and stuff like that is not really the point to me. It's more like that the storyline. My problem with it was the storyline went nowhere. So like that was just. For me that was just a little flaw at the end.
It was crap
of not making the code breaker and that whole thing mean anything.
It was crap.
If that had just meant something in the storyline, like that made a difference somehow to me, and I know not to you. I know you hate everything, but like it would have been better. No, you do hate everything about that part.
Oh,
like
yeah,
I'm not saying
part,
yeah. So I'm saying it wouldn't have fixed it for you, but what I'm saying is like for someone like me who enjoys the movie on a whole, that one bums me out only because at the end they just get captured and nothing came of it, right? So if it had just played a part in them escaping, a little part, it didn't need to fix the whole movie, but if that had mattered, Finn and Rose had mattered, right? Then to me, the Canto Bight scene's fine because I don't mind the storyline stunk because it just ended in nothing. That's what stunk. To me, the Canto Bight thing, I thought it was. I mean, and you know me, like I love the whole breaking down the aliens. So the Canto Bight thing to me was a lot of fun because there were tons of species, and so like I was enthralled by it. My problem with it was the storyline, right? Like that there was no reason for any of it to happen. Like if none of it happens, the movie still ends in the same place, and that sucks. For a major character. The only thing it did, I guess you could argue, is Finn got to face Phasma again. But I don't think that was that important at the end. No. But so it didn't do anything, which stinks, right? Number two is what everybody complains about, really, is the Luke Skywalker treatment. And that, to me, was, like we had talked about before, I'm okay. It's not my favorite because I read Legends. You know what I mean? Yep. So now I'm at the point where I'm excited to see Rise of Skywalker. But to be honest with you, I think the general storyline in Legends was a better story. I liked the new Jedi Order and the kids and the whole, like, the Yuzong Vong, I think you could have done differently, but I think the concept of the Yuzong Vong was good, right? Yep. So that does bum me out a little bit. But I don't hate the take on Luke Skywalker story bead wise. I think it makes sense. If you follow kind of Luke and you know the whole thing with the whole Skywalker saga and everything, I think him ending up at a place that's like, wow, the Jedi just weren't as good as you think when you look at the whole picture, because he's going back and he's looking at the Republic and the Jedi Council and how they got tricked by Palpatine, right? So he's going through the whole thing and how all these super powerful Jedi who meant well totally effed up the galaxy, right? Because of Anakin and Palpatine, they got tricked, and then he sees it with his own training of Kylo and Ben, sorry, and that he failed, even though he was the most powerful thing in the universe at the time, and he couldn't get Ben to not turn to the dark side, right? So I think where Luke is, and the story beat of that, I think actually is creative writing. It's not my favorite, but I respect it. I think it's good. The delivery of the writing of Luke, I don't think was the best. Like the flipping of the lightsaber and some of that didn't land well with me, right? I think he would have, I think in my mind, even that Luke who's bummed out and failed Ben and is down on the Jedi Order and everything, gets a little more positive with Rey towards the end, right? I think that bummed.
He didn't show any of that in the old. I don't want to say the old trilogy, the original trilogy, at all. Like that's why I think.
What are you talking about?
Like that kind of like joking around, like the whole like lightsaber thing where he throws the lightsaber.
Like, yeah, no, that's my point. Like I see where the character ends up as a whole, disappointed after what happened, after he learned about the Jedi. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That I think is fine, and I think that's it's interesting. It's not my favorite. I liked the new Jedi Order better, but I respect it. I think it's interesting, and I think it's a neat take on it. Yeah, the delivery of it, like you're saying, the tossing of the lightsaber, that kind of thing, and him not really fully coming back, although at the end he does the projection and the Kylo thing. Like he does come around, but I think the Luke that I know, even if he got that negative, would still get on the Millennium Falcon with Rey.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, to help out at the end because Leia's in trouble and Han died. I would have taken basically, other than the lightsaber flip, I would have taken the Octu stuff, very similar, but then at the end he would have come with Rey back, and he would have been back. Right? Like that would have been good to me, acceptable. Yeah. Like I would have liked that a lot more. And so those are my two big criticisms and two big takes on what most people hate about The Last Jedi. The rest of it, I mean, what else happens? I mean, some people complain about the light speed thing. Like, really? Have we watched Star Wars? Does anything really make sense? Like, it's not real life. I thought the light speed thing was kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, well, then why doesn't every single ship just go to light speed when they're about to die and blow up everything? It's like, well, not every ship has light speed, and like, why does it always have to be that?
Yeah.
Why, when something cool happens, do you have to figure out every single reason in the rest of canon why that didn't happen? It's like, what? Why is that? But yeah, so I'm bummed. Overall, I'm bummed that it's come to this because I think, even if Rise of Skywalker is really good, and I'm hoping it is, and I think it will be, and again, you can, like the people, you can say whatever you want about me. I like Star Wars. Like I take it as it comes, right? If I don't like one part, it's a part that I don't like, but it hasn't numbed me to wanting more, because there's so much when you're as big a canon fan as me, and you have the books and the comics, there's so much stuff there. You know what I mean? And you're always welcome to make your own headcanon too if you don't like the movies. Like, it's fine. But I think I'm bummed mostly because The Last Jedi has been such a lightning rod that I fear that it'll affect the Rise of Skywalker no matter what. Right? Like it seems like there's just so many people that are going to absolutely hate anything that comes out. So it almost doesn't matter, which is a bummer. Right? Yeah. So that's why I'm bummed about that.
So, yeah, I mean,
how do you feel about it? I know you like The Last Jedi less than me, but how do you feel about the whole? So
I mean, I don't. So the Backlash, I can see. Obviously, I can see both sides. So for whoever doesn't know this, I really did not like Last Jedi at all. Mm-hmm. I actually liked Force Awakens, and I liked where it was going, and then Last Jedi killed it for me with the new trilogy. So I mean, I'm still excited for Rise of Skywalker, so I'm not like in the camp of like, oh well, screw Rise of Skywalker. With that said, do I think it soured it a little bit? Yeah, I think it did. I think it definitely has a little bit of an impact, because now you're kind of the movie's got to kind of correct a little bit of what happened in Last Jedi, in a sense of like the story and stuff, because there was a lot of shit in Last Jedi that I was so disappointed with. The Canto Bight scene, there was a lot of potential with that scene. I hated that segment so much. I've seen this movie a dozen times and I skipped through it. I hate that scene so much. There's just nothing. There's nothing to me that, like, why is it there? What's the point of it? It doesn't go anywhere, like you were saying earlier. It doesn't go anywhere. And for some people, it brings up this, like, maybe it brings up, like, the social justice stuff. I'm not a fan of that. You know what? I want Star Wars. I don't want social justice stuff. I know that we live in a world where that's becoming more prevalent and that people are trying to put that into more stuff. I don't want, like, that's what I don't want to see in Star Wars, because Star Wars to me is a escape for that. It's escape from, with like video games and anything like comics, anything like that, superheroes.
I'll just say that I disagree with. On a whole, I think if you're finding, and this is just my criticism of that thing, I think if you're seeing social justice warrior stuff in the Canto Bight scene, you are looking for it. Because there is a lot of like SJW stuff out there, and I do agree. Like sometimes it overtakes the points of the movie. It's not very heavy in Canto Bight, in my opinion. What is it that you think it's the animal thing?
I thought it was.
That's the biggest thing.
No, I think it was also the display of like the rich. I mean, like again,
that's the rich or evil. That's in every movie ever.
I know, but
so I don't get that. Why is that social justice warrior?
Oh well,
you can not like it. That's not my point. Like you can hate that version. I just don't get why that's SJW. The rich are evil in like every script ever written.
All right. Well, I mean
it's kind of like opinion. The power is evil, right? That's like, I mean, the Empire. It's basically the same thing. It's just put in a fancy. No. That's what I don't mean to. It's not your criticism that I'm blaming. I'm just saying I don't think there's much. Like I've seen over the top SJW stuff that ruins movies, and while the Canto Bight scene I completely understand from what you're saying sucks, like in the story wise. Which is completely I just don't see any social justice warrior.
I actually didn't see it initially, and then I like kind of saw a tweet on it at one point, and I was like,
"Right, you're looking for it."
And then I was like, "Oh, wait a second," and then I was like, "Oh, why?" Like, but I didn't like that scene already, so it didn't really like that didn't make a difference. But like the animal stuff, that was the only thing that I was like, "Why is this here?" Like I'm not for like cruelty of animals or anything like that. That's screwed up stuff. Like that's not what I'm saying. But like they just portrayed it like that, and
like rich people were mistreating animals for sport.
And that's what in the
and
whole.
That doesn't happen.
It does happen in some ways, and it doesn't happen.
I just don't. It just wasn't. It wasn't very strong. That's all. Like it just. I think it's all solved if Rose and Finn storyline means anything. Then that's not a big deal. It's just that it literally means nothing. So then people dig in and go, "Why is it here?" Like that's my argument.
And I'm just saying
it's
that
not really. It's not blatant. It's just
you can't always relate rich to evil. Like it's just that's not how it works.
I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that is like to say that social justice warrior is weird to me because that's a trope that's in a ton of really good movies that no one would ever. That's SJW.
All right. Well,
am I wrong? I mean, usually, what's like Robin Hood is the definition of the rich or evil, right? Steal from the rich, give to the poor. I mean, that's
steal from the rich, give to the poor. I mean,
right. But... And no one says Robin Hood's SJW, do they? Maybe they do. Nowadays, everybody calls everything everything.
Well, yeah, that's the other problem.
It probably is now.
It probably is now, yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to get off topic. Yes, the Canto Bight scene is definitely up for criticism, and I will not defend. I'm not here to defend the Canto Bight scene.
I don't like that scene at all,
by any means.
Regardless of the social justice stuff or not, whatever scene still sucked. There's nothing good about it. The only cool.
Well, if you're into creatures like me, it's cool to stare at it for a little while.
Yeah,
it's like Maz's castle, but yeah.
Yeah, well, see, but that scene. Okay, so Maz's castle was.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to get you on that. Maz's castle is cooler. Agreed. I'm just saying 100%. For the creature part, the Canto Bight's fun for someone obsessed with different aliens and where they are and stuff. That takes my.
I thought it was gonna be more like an Ocean's 11 type deal or something like not like Ocean's 11, but like that going into that scene. I thought it was gonna be more like played out like a little bit like spy / like sneaking around and stuff. And it didn't do that. It's
I will 100% agree with that same set and same like kind of concept could have been used a lot cooler.
It was like
It
100%
Casino
Royale.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's what I was.
And it could have been like that. You're right.
Like when you
right, there could
initially
have been those
see
elements.
when they come down, you're like, oh, this is cool. It could be like
Right.
a Casino Royale, like Ocean's 11, like something like something related to like Vegas or something. Like those movies are cool and they have those scenes, and regardless of what you think,
More
and
high
then,
stakes.
Yeah, and you go
Yeah.
into this
Yeah.
and you're like, what the fuck? Like they don't do any of it. They kind of like. It's almost embarrassing to me. That's why, and I can understand why Boyega, for instance, he's kind of like, what the hell? You made my character like.
Well, that's also where I can level with, right? Because if you went from a character that people thought may have been a Jedi, like may have Force sensitivities and came over the, you know what I mean, got out of the Stormtrooper and everything like that, and then the second full movie, your character actually does nothing.
He's a puss.
Like his whole mission. Well, not even the acting, but like his whole mission fails and doesn't have any effect on the storyline.
He doesn't like so that,
and then he goes to be like a hero at the end and gets taken out.
So that goes into me for like for the Last Jedi for me, like, so the writing I thought stunk, like the whole movie. I think writing in general, I think the only part that I was like, oh, this is kind of cool because it's different. It's like showing like what's his face, Podawan, with that whole scene. Like, I thought that was cool.
The mutiny scene thing?
Yeah, the mutiny stuff.
Yeah,
like, because I was like, oh, wow, this is different. But then it just goes downhill from there. It just, like, another big scene that everybody hates, Princess Leia being shot out into space. So, for me, that didn't bother me as much, but I could see why it pissed off a lot of people. I didn't, like, care for that scene. It kind of, I don't even... For me, it was more. I think we had talked about this. I think we're along the same lines. Yeah.
It's more. It's not so much the concept of it. It was the delivery, like the reaching finger and the way it looked. It looked kind of, I don't know. It just looked.
It looked
weird.
It
didn't look
weird.
Star Wars. No. And I'll agree with that. But the concept, I don't think was a bad idea.
No, the concept, I don't think that scene in itself, like, it didn't do anything for me. It just was like.
And I think that sounds like mostly what you're saying is maybe on an overall scale, there were a lot of good ideas. It just was not delivered well.
There was, so I think where...
Some good ideas. So let's go with that.
So for this movie, I think that the writing stunk. I think they introduced a lot of new ideas to Star Wars. I think a lot of them failed, like you're saying, because I think they tried to do too much. Like, all right, let's take this and like let's tweak in, like, see where we can go with it. I think it's the wrong approach because you're dealing with a fan base that has. I mean, you saw what happened with the prequels. It's kind of it's even worse, I think. And the prequels kind of had they had a little bit. There was already stuff pre-established in the story and stuff, so it was a little bit like they had to follow the story. They couldn't really like mess with it in a sense. This one is a little bit like, all right, where are we gonna go with this overarching, plot and everything? So I think that in itself, just all these introduction of ideas, I think was a big mistake. For me, I didn't like the treatment of Luke. I am growing up loving him as a character, being one of my heroes as a kid, and seeing him, how he went out and how his character played out in that movie sucked. It was just not... Like I said, we were talking about the lightsaber thing. Like, that was not his character. That was completely out of character from the original trilogy. Right off the bat, and I was like, at first, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. Like, I laughed, like, whatever. But then I realized, I was like, wait a second, that's not him. And then later on, like, yeah, I get he's bummed. But they turned him into someone that was just like I get you would be a little bit depressed, but, like, he didn't... Why couldn't you give him like a battle, like an actual battle? Why couldn't you bring back
the comeback?
Give him the comeback. Like, yeah, maybe he dies from the comeback. Like, maybe he holds off Kylo Ren, and then Kylo Ren, like, he fails Kylo Ren, so he dies. Like, that's what I was
like an Obi-Wan moment kind of thing.
Yeah, like,
then people would say it's a ripoff, but yeah, that would have been cool. Yep.
Yeah, people would. I mean, people are gonna complain about anything anyway. So,
right. Yeah. No, that's my point. But yeah, I think that would have been cool. I like that.
The Force Ghost thing. To me, I just didn't care for it.
The projection
the
thing,
projection thing. Sorry, the projection thing. I just it was stupid. The thing that this trilogy is severely lacking, and there was only one scene of it, maybe two scenes so far of like epic lightsaber battles, was the one in the Force with in Force Awakens, and then the throne scene. The throne scene was one of actually my favorite scenes, if
cool.
not my favorite really cool. scene in the actually that would probably be my favorite scene in the
sequel trilogy.
Yeah. So I mean, like, you can't beat that. Like but the other thing too, on the flip side of that, you're like, all right, who are these knights? Are they like Force users? Like, there wasn't a lot of depth to them. I want to kind of learn more about them too, and like, they're gone. Snoke got killed instantly. Like, it just didn't play out the way I wanted.
That's an interesting one to talk about too. Like, how do you not you in particular, but I think a lot of, and this is kind of what I was saying, my reaction is like, now that we expect certain things, right? I saw this interesting post of a bunch of stuff, which is, here's why it's interesting. It's because it's impossible to really go back and know exactly what you were thinking at the time. But there are a lot of parallels. It's not exact. I'm not going to get into super fine detail, but there are a lot of parallels to the original trilogy with the sequel trilogy on a lot of stuff people complain about. So, like, for example, the whole Snoke thing, right?
Yeah.
He is very similar to the Empire in a way. And we had no information on the Empire. And yet no one complained about the Empire. And I'm not saying that you can't criticize Snoke. Don't get me wrong here. Like, I wanted more as well, right?
Yep.
But I think because of Star Wars and because of the history and everyone, like, because it is so detailed that every X-Wing pilot has a name and a backstory and a comic about him, right? Which I love. But that people get carried away with, like, well, Snoke needs to be something else. Like, if this had come out and there were no other Star Wars to base it on, right? I think people would complain less about Snoke. I think and again, these aren't, when I'm saying these things, these aren't direct comparisons, right? Because Snoke dies in 2, the Empire died in 3, right? The third movie of the trilogy.
Yeah.
You didn't really get the Empire in episode 1, but just interesting things like Luke was overpowered kind of, but we didn't know what the power was.
Yep.
Like, in other words, if you watch the prequels first, right?
Yeah.
If you were to watch them first and take in all that information, the fact that Luke can even fight Darth Vader is kind of silly, right? Like, right. And we don't, I get the whole, like, again, this is why I don't want to get into the super details. Like, well, he trained with Yoda for 7.5 years. Like, no, it wasn't that long, but I get it. So, like, the whole Rey thing, and I do, like, she does have, like, extra, but what I'm saying is all these things are parallels, kind of. Like, Rey, everyone's like, God, she's overpowered. When Luke was kind of overpowered, if you look at it. And I think the best comparison in this is what I'm saying, just for looking at it and saying, are we maybe just, we have so much expectations because there's so much history and we love it so much that we may not be being completely fair to stuff and letting the story take place. Is like Boba Fett to Phasma, like you've brought up, is maybe the greatest comparison, because what do you hear constantly about the new trilogy? That Phasma was completely wasted and her character was so cool and nothing happened with her. And it's like, I agree with that. She was so cool. And yes, not much happened. But no one criticized, even to this day, Boba Fett, who basically had less screen time than Phasma, was arguably just as cool, if not cooler, whatever. And he falls into a pit because his jetpack malfunctions. If you flip it and say, like, we hadn't seen the original trilogy, but we had all this background in the original trilogy with new, people would be furious with their treatment of Boba Fett. They would think he's the worst written character of all time.
Yeah. Because
it's the same thing. So all I'm saying is, well, and I feel a lot of these things the same way. Like, I wish there were more Phasma. I just think that I think it's very tough for Star Wars right now because there's so many expectations, right?
Yeah.
That I don't know that it's possible to deliver all these things. Like, and that's why I think it'll be interesting to see as time goes on, like in 5 years and 10 years, and who knows what they do with Star Wars, but how this trilogy will be received in 10 years and 5 years, when it's already been accepted. More canon happens. You probably know everything there is to know about Snoke at that point. You know everything there is to know about Phasma at that point.
Yep.
And all of a sudden now when you watch him, no one notices Snoke's a waste of time because they already know all the background of Snoke. You know what I mean? Like we do now about Palpatine. And
Yeah.
you go, oh, that was actually a good use of his character. A lot of those, and they, some of them won't change. You know what I mean? But some of them will. And I wonder, it'd just be interesting to see like what our reactions episode to episode would have been if the sequel trilogy was the first thing released and then we watched the original trilogy and we're like, man, who's this Luke guy? You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of interesting things to me. So I think it doesn't take away any of your points. I'm just saying that I think The Last Jedi especially suffered from, and The Force Awakens does too, some of these things that I think they're just expectations because of the history and we know all this stuff that really aren't fair to the individual movie.
All right.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense, right?
It makes sense. I mean, you got a lot of history to compare to. I mean, like, yeah, that's one of the things that being a fan is, like, you're looking at previous stuff, and I mean, there's people that, I mean,
no, it's not wrong. I'm just saying, like,
there's everybody can
tough.
have their. That's the other thing. Everyone can have their opinion on this. Like that's one thing I did not like seeing on Twitter when I was on the other
shutdown
night.
of other people.
Yeah, like you're fucking.
You're
idiot.
not a Star
you
Wars
don't,
fan.
Yeah, you don't know Star Wars. Like that shit needs to go. Like cut that shit out. Like I even just said like the Canto Bite stuff. Like I already know I'm probably gonna get some heat for that. Like how I feel about it, and it's like that's my opinion. I felt that it was a bad.
But you're doing it the right way. You're saying it's a shitty scene. Yeah. It affected how you viewed the movie.
Yeah, it did. But
you're not claiming not to be a Star Wars fan.
No, that's stupid.
You know what I mean? So you can,
like you were saying, there's SJW shit everywhere. Like it's not. It doesn't prevent.
Not even that. I'm just saying like criticism. Like these people that are like Star Wars is completely ruined for me because of Disney, which is completely fine. That's fine with me.
Yeah,
my thing is I don't understand why you're still. Right. Well, yeah. I mean, we're going to disagree on a lot of things, but if that's your opinion, why are you on Star Wars Reddit?
Yeah.
And why do you care about the Rise of Skywalker? That's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like that's just you no longer like it and you're shitting on everyone else's good time. Right. That's when it sucks. Like if you're still in, but you're disappointed, that's fine. Like, yeah. Hey, man, like, you know what I mean? Then you're still excited for it. And that's fine. I don't like everything Star Wars has ever put out. You know what I mean? I just don't claim that it ruined it all for me and then hang around and still watch it. You know, and this is what I'm saying. It either did ruin it all for you, in which case, just go away. Not in a mean way. I'm just saying, like, it ruined it for you. Yeah. So it's no good. So stop watching it. Stop commenting on it because no one cares about your opinion anymore because you just said you hate it. Yeah. So go, like, you don't like it anymore. So go. I'm not on Grey's Anatomy, Snapchats and Reddit saying how much I hate the show.
Yeah.
I just don't watch it. And actually, I don't mind Grey. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have the time in my day.
We're not going down that rabbit hole, man.
I just made up a thing. All I'm saying is I don't have the time in my day for something I really dislike to go on the Reddit for it and say how bad it is. Because if I dislike it, I'm not watching it and I'm not commenting on it because I don't like it.
Perfect.
So you know what I mean?
Perfect reference. Game of Thrones last season, to me, sucked. There was a lot of stuff that I did not like on it. Am I going to go on Reddit and troll people because they liked it? No, I don't give a shit. What? Yeah. Like, okay, you liked it, I didn't. And guess what? I'm not going to watch Game of Thrones anymore in the last season. That's my decision. But I'm not going to go out of my way to be like, hey, you're a friggin' idiot because you thought that Daenerys, like, slaughtering all those people was cool? Wow. Like, you're a douchebag. Like, I don't care. I mean, you kind of are a douchebag if you actually think that was cool. But, like... but you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going out my way to do it. I'm just like, if someone asks me and we're like in conversation, that's one thing. But I'm not going actively on Twitter, actively on Reddit and going, oh, hey, buddy, guess what? You're an idiot because you like the last season of Game of Thrones. It's your opinion. Don't give a shit. Just like, you don't care about my opinion. It's fine.
I think at the end of the day, what happens is most of those people who are saying those kind of things that don't go away and keep commenting, they're not explaining. Like, you're bummed about Disney Star Wars, which is fine, but you still like Star Wars and you still want something good from Star Wars, so you continue to show up for the movies. So just say that. Say everything I've seen so far sucks and I hate it, but I still love Star Wars at its core and I want something good to come out, so I'm going to go see Rise of Skywalker. That's completely reasonable to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it stinks. I feel bad for you. I truly do, because I like Star Wars and it hasn't been ruined for me, and it could be ruined for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel you, like that sucks, but at least that's an honest opinion of it, right? Not that you hate Star Wars and you'll never watch it again. Okay, so why are you commenting on it? You're not going to watch it, so who cares?
Right.
Yeah. So I mean,
Well,
that's my take on it. I just like talking about it. So even if you don't like it, I enjoy talking. I know we Jedi clearly here, but I enjoy talking to you about it because you're not gonna not ever talk to me again or not watch Rise of Skywalker.
Nah.
You're still a Star Wars fan.
Hey
you know
guys,
what I mean?
That's the end
so
of
like I like
the
that.
end of the podcast.
Podcast is over. Steve's done. Star Wars forever.
Fucking douchebags.
Right. Yeah. No, but that's my thing.
So I guess we'll we'll kind of
now we got the next topic.
Yeah.
I thought that was crazy.
Yeah. So our actually I think it'll be quicker because so
it'll be quicker. You're gonna laugh at me.
I know I'm gonna laugh at you because yours is gonna be stupid and mine's gonna be the best. So so we're gonna rank our top 10, or we're just ranking all the Star Wars movies in order. This was kind of part of the outburst that happened. There were a lot of people on Twitter that are ranking them. So we decided that, you know what, before Rise of Skywalker, why don't we rank ours and see where they fall?
We should get yelled at by people. That's
yell at us. Yell at us. Tell us how much we suck. So I don't know if you, Ollie, if you want to. Do you want
me to go first?
Do you want me to go and surprise you? I think you're going to be. I think mine's going to be a little bit different. A lot different from yours, but maybe not. I don't know.
I don't think it'll be that different.
All right, how about we do this?
It's got to be different.
What's your number? Okay, how about this? Should we go from 10 down? Like, you say your number 10.
Well, that'll be
and
confusing.
I say my number
we can
10?
do that.
All right, fine.
I feel like... Oh, and then at the end, just say what the top 10 was? Yeah, okay, fine.
Or no. Just say your top 10. It's fine.
Okay, all right, fine. Top 10. So I'm just going to lay out, basically, I think these are the best... I am taking what I think is the best, considering everything has come out at this point.
Yep.
So to make sense of it, like Rogue One, where it's placed in my order, is also because of A New Hope. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's
like, because they're all out. We know everything.
Yeah.
They're not individual things. So this is how I would rank them, as I think the best movies in this storyline that's going on.
Okay.
I think my favorite, and I think the best movie is Rogue One. Probably going to be
number one.
I think it's the best movie.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
It does amazing. Yeah, it does amazing things for A New Hope. It does amazing things for the whole first trilogy, and it's grittier, and I like the grittier stuff. And it's I think it's brilliant. I think it's really, really good. It's really fun to watch. I watch it all the time. I love the movie, and I think it's the best movie. Then I think this is where me and you will be similar. I like, because growing up, I don't know why, maybe it's a little more Force stuff with Luke or whatever it is, the Ewoks. I don't think you could yell at me for that. I like Return of the Jedi slightly more than I like Empire Strikes Back, but that's 2-3 for me. Return of the Jedi, then Empire Strikes Back. Then, so what am I? I'm on 4. So Rogue One, Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith.
Yep.
A New Hope, Force Awakens, Phantom Menace, Solo, The Last Jedi, Attack of the Clones.
Wow, Solo's way down there. Damn.
Yeah, that one's tough for me. I like the movie, but again, it's like the overall story. Like the other one, again, this is tough. All of the other ones are related to other movies, so gain and lose stuff in their reference to the other movies. Does that make sense? Yeah. Solo was fun, but I don't know, like it. That's where it is. Here for my top 10. I like all the Star Wars movies. Attack of the Clones. I could watch Attack of the Clones. It's just my least favorite Star Wars movie.
Okay, so
and it has some of the best moments because my favorite thing is Jedi, which makes it kind of silly because like Attack of the Clones has the most of that. But yeah, it just kind of drones on. There's some I don't know. Yeah, so that's my top 10.
So so just to recap, it's.
Do you want me to read it again?
Yeah, Rogue One. What was
Rogue One, Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
Empire Strikes Back.
Yep.
Revenge of the Sith, A New Hope, The Force Awakens,
Okay.
Phantom Menace, Solo, The Last Jedi, Attack of the Clones.
Okay. I was gonna go from the bottom up, but I think I'll go.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I'll go from the top. So
okay.
Mine's different. Not it's actually not as different as I thought
Different
it
as you
would
thought.
be. Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, uh, so number one for me is Empire Strikes Back. That was
Mhm.
my favorite. It, so that Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, those two are really tough for me because I watch those simultaneously all the time. Like I not
Mhm.
simultaneously, but like I watch them interchangeably. Like I some weeks as a kid I would watch Empire Strikes Back like 10 times and then I would watch Return of the Jedi 10 times. Like it was very tough, but I don't know, something about Cloud City just gets me every time. And Hoth, love that scene. So, you know what?
Something about just wanting to agree with most people gets you every.
It gets me every time. Yep.
Okay. So Return
So,
of the Jedi second.
yeah, so number one's Empire Strikes Back. Number two, Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
Number three, Rogue One.
Okay.
I
So our top three are the same.
yeah, they're pretty
Like
much the
not in
same.
order, but they're yeah.
Yeah,
This is what I'm talking about.
yeah.
We'll have slightly differences, but they're not going to be that. Yep.
Number four,
Mm-hmm.
you're Solo. I
Okay.
really like Solo. I don't know. I thought it was
Yep.
different enough where it was not like your standard Star Wars story. I thought the backstory was cool. There was a lot to that movie that I really enjoyed it. I liked the casting. There was a ton of stuff. I really like Han Solo as a character.
Yeah.
So
You're not going to get arguments from me. I liked the movie.
oh no, I
With
know.
it.
I'm just
But
saying
yeah.
that
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
people
Yep.
that are like, well,
I'm with
you're
you.
out of your mind. So because there's a lot of people that think Solo is the worst Star Wars movie, and
Yeah.
I
Well,
disagree
it's an
with
opinion.
that. Yeah,
It's the wrong opinion, but
Yeah. So number five.
I'm kidding.
No, it is
Yeah.
the wrong opinion. So
No. Go
only
ahead.
ours.
Yep. Five.
Five is Revenge of the Sith.
Yep.
Where am I? So we got.
You're at five. Revenge of the Sith.
Six is A New Hope.
Yep.
Seven is Force Awakens.
Yep.
Eight is. I'm sorry. No. Take that back. Seven is Phantom Menace. 8 is Force Awakens. 9 is Attack of the Clones, and 10 is Last Jedi.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I mean, in general.
So Phantom Menace for me, like, so that's one right there that I ranked it higher than Force Awakens. Phantom Menace, when that came out, we were just kids, and it was just the fact that we were getting more Star Wars. Like, I will not forget how I felt during that. And as the movie, the Duel of Fates scenes, oh my god, they were awesome.
At the time, I mean, it's still pretty cool, but yeah.
I mean, the movie itself, if you look at the movie, you're like, yeah, it's kind of weak, like the the writing and stuff. I just watched it a little while ago. I still love it. Darth Maul, awesome character. Another piece of writing that I think they kind of screwed up on a little bit with him. But like besides that, still a great movie to me. I think it's better than Force Awakens. Force Awakens to me was kind of like A New Hope 2.0 on a sense. I mean, there was new stuff, but like it did. I think it just nostalgia wise, it just didn't. It didn't differ enough to me that I was like, all right, this movie's better than in my head, better than Phantom Menace. Because Phantom Menace, when that came out, I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. So
yeah, that Darth Maul moment, I'm with you. Like I don't remember many things of the first times I've seen them.
Yeah.
But I remember that moment. I was so invested in that. I was like nervous for him. I didn't like. That was probably the best scene for me in movies.
Yeah, it's
you know what I mean. Like at the time, first viewing, no other context, just like being there watching that. I was so enthralled with that fight and moments and everything that happened there.
And it's funny. He's
really cool.
One of those characters that he's like. People love Darth Maul, and I think they did do a disservice to him in terms of like the movie wise. Like, he didn't have a ton of screen time except the big fight, but like like a lot of people love that character, and I think that was because of just coming out of that and all that. So
it's what brought him back in canon.
Yeah.
If he sucked, they wouldn't have written that whole thing about him coming back.
And he had such a cool backstory. There was so much like So Phantom Menace to me, higher than Force Awakens. Attack of the Clones, I you know what? I still like that movie. Last Jedi, like I said, like we were talking about earlier, I think it just out of all the movies, I think that while in theory the concepts and the ideas that were brought forward were great, just not a movie I like. It's just not for me.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's just is what
I
it
mean,
is.
your 9-10 and my 9-10 are the same as well, just flipped. So
Pretty much, yeah.
the biggest jump is the Solo difference, but
I love Solo.
again, I like
I don't
Solo
know.
a lot. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not really. Yep.
Yeah. So, so I guess with our top tens, you know, for those that are listening, feel free to tweet at us or message us or leave comments on what your top 10 is, and if you agree with our selections and our movie opinions on where these movies should be. Maybe after Rise of Skywalker, we'll have to rank them again.
Yeah,
maybe,
definitely.
and we could see like how it changes, how our list changes, and so feel free to reach out to us.
I mean, I'm always interested in seeing people's lists. I just it is an interesting thing because you can't discount anything that you've read or experienced in the Star Wars universe.
Yep.
So I think that a lot of things are colored by, like, The Force Awakens way better if you read Bloodline. Rogue One's way better if you read Rebel Rising and Catalyst and have seen A New Hope, right? Like, all these things affect your opinions of the movies. It's very tough to just say, like, the movie by itself, contextually involving no other movie, right? So I just want to, like, my list when you're looking at it or commenting on it is based on everything I know to this second.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, like, Rogue One is very much affected by Rebel Rising, Catalyst, and A New Hope.
Yep.
Like, that's why I think it's the best movie. You may disagree with, like, that I should take that into account, and I'd probably have a different list. If those things didn't exist, Rogue One probably wouldn't be at the top.
I mean,
I'm just explaining where I came from. I've read just about everything in canon. I've read a lot of Legends stuff. So when I look at the movies, everything affects everything. You know what I mean? So that's how my list was made. I'm sure yours was basically the same thing too. We've just read different things. And obviously you've liked things differently and I've liked things differently.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like Empire more, I guess. I mean, it's hard for me to just pick Empire over Return or vice versa. I mean, those two are pretty much interchangeable. I mean, those two movies to me are like the same in terms of being the top movie for me. But like, yeah, Rogue One, for instance, like, yeah, I think I can't top what I was feeling as a kid watching Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And, I mean, even A New Hope, but I didn't watch A New Hope as much. But like Rogue One, like, I liked it because of this, like, how, like you were saying, all the connections to the books and in A New Hope and everything, and that Vader scene, holy shit! Like,
yeah,
that is an awesome scene, and like that just put the icing on the cake, and it was just like that movie itself. I mean,
I will say awesome too, I think that Rogue One has the greatest in terms of visually looking, which obviously.
Oh, the planet getting
obviously
blown up and everything is friggin'
well, that, but like amazing. The space fight in Rogue One is amazing.
Yeah.
And that, again, that's you can't, A New Hope can't have that because of the technology at the time. So I'm not saying that it was written better or anything like that. It is just the most gorgeous looking Star Wars fight scene in space. Everything looks amazing. The big ships, like the Hammerhead, the Corvettes crashing into the Star Destroyers crashing into each other, them taking down that shield thing. It just looks unbelievable.
Yeah, it stands on its own. It's awesome. It's great.
No, it was cool.
So, but I mean, if we're ranking Star Wars movies, I cannot put that number one because that's not it. I mean,
you don't have to.
Yeah, I know. I know, but I'm just saying, like, that's it's kind of, or that's the cool thing. We have the right to have our opinions about where we think Star Wars movies are. Some people would even say, yeah, there's only 6 movies, so. So.
Some would say there's only 3.
Yeah. There's people that say there's only 3. So.
Anyways, so I think that. Did you have anything else, or was that the last?
No,
the last segment.
Like I said, I'd like to invite anyone that's listening.
Yeah,
to
your
this
list.
podcast,
Yeah.
Submit your list to us. We'd love to see what you guys think. Maybe like we were saying after Rise of Skywalker, we could revamp our list. We could also
do it again. Yep.
We could do a fan list too. We could do a voting poll and see what everyone thinks. That this is what the Podawan community. This is what they think is the top Star Wars movies. I think that'd be a cool thing.
It'd be fun to revisit too. What from the Rise of Skywalker changes the Last Jedi? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what was fixed in the Rise of Skywalker in a way that the Last Jedi doesn't. Like what things about the Rise of Skywalker make the Last Jedi more palatable?
Oh, Return of the Jedi
because I think
has the perfect ending. You're not going to change that.
No. I'm saying like we both have the Last Jedi towards the bottom of our list. I'm saying I the Last Jedi, not Return of the Jedi. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, wait
sorry.
a second.
What like so we both have it towards the bottom of the list. I wonder what things we don't like about the Last Jedi are alleviated by the Rise of Skywalker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, like we said, shoot us your top 10. Other than that,
subscribe, like.
Yeah, subscribe to our YouTube, our podcast, like them, leave comments. Like we love to hear from you guys, and check out like I said, we're dropping videos on YouTube. Ollie just he's put up a couple of videos related to the Mandalorian. We still got that book review of Phasma up there. We're gonna be doing more of those. So, and then you'll be able to watch our podcast and see different scenes from the podcast itself. So, make sure to check that out. Otherwise, I think that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone, see you later, Padawans.
See ya.